Innovations.
All right, so where are we here? We're on footnote 1016. Still in the section about innovations. Attempting to read all of the footnotes. We read the whole body of the section on innovations. We still need to cover the footnotes before we finish this chapter and move on to the next chapter, which is the last chapter of the book. This is the next to the last chapter. So we're at footnote 1016. This footnote is attached to this here sentence. For this reason, Yani, which is because there are amongst some of the deviant groups people who did not blaspheme, or potentially there are people who did not blaspheme amongst the deviant groups who are affiliated with Islam. For this reason, the scholars of Hadith accepted the narration of some of the people of deviant beliefs. Those who did not reach the level of blasphemy, so they had to be Muslims to get their Hadiths accepted, and not just that though. Not just they didn't reach the level of blasphemy, but also they had other qualities that made their Hadith narration acceptable, such as that they were accurate, not frequently mistaken, and also that they were truthful, not liars. Not liars. And also that outwardly they displayed the God-fearingness. Outwardly they displayed the religiosity. Don't forget, the bid'ah, we mean here the heresy, the deviant conviction, the innovation, which is the deviant conviction, the bid'ah, it's a major sin, yes. Don't forget, it's a what? An inward sin, not outward sin. So it means someone might have this sin from the inside, and so we have no way to look into his heart. And on the outside, this person is praying, fasting, getting married, etc. Practicing the religion, goes to Jumu'ah, for example, doesn't lie, for example, doesn't skip the fast, doesn't miss his prayers, even in privacy, he will pray, for example. So this innovation is an inward sin. So the scholars didn't use this alone to reject a hadith from a reporter who has a hadith with a chain. Rather, when it was that these ones were displaying Islam and displaying God-fearingness and were accurate and truthful, and they were not reporting what supports the heresy they're accused of. Like if he's accused of being a Shiite, he's not reporting something about the Ahlul Bayt. Then the scholars accepted such a narration. So here's footnote 1016. Al-Iraqi said, they differed about the narration of an innovator who is not charged with blasphemy for his innovation. Yani, they differed means some said it can be acceptable, some said it's never acceptable. It was said that his narration is absolutely rejected, never acceptable, because he is a major sinner for his innovation. So they're saying there's a rule. Do we take the narration of the major sinner? No, we do not. He's a major sinner, so then we're not going to take his narration. If he were a person who was misguided by some misunderstanding, meaning because of some misunderstanding, if he were a person who was misguided, because of some misunderstanding, then his narration is rejected. Yani is still rejected. Like a major sinner who has no misunderstanding, because it's just a major sinner. This is just as a blasphemer who has a misunderstanding, yani a person who's a kafir because of his misunderstanding, he's as much as a kafir as one who's a kafir without having a misunderstanding. He's still a kafir. So they're saying, in the major sinner, if he's a major sinner because of a misunderstanding, he's still a major sinner. This was narrated from Malik about that, as said by Al-Khatib in Al-Kifayah. Ibn al-Salah, though, the Imam of Mustalah, said this is far-fetched. Yani, this position is the far-fetched one, because of what is the common practice of the Imams of Hadith. Yani saying this is unlikely to really be the case because our Imams have done it. So if this were really the case, then the Imams, and we say Imams here, we're talking about the Imams of the scholars. We're talking about the Sheikhs of the scholars. The ones the scholars look up to, like Al-Bukhari. Because of what is the common practice, yani because of the common practice of the Imams of Hadith. Their books are stuffed, loaded with narrations, full, loaded with narrations from innovators who are not propagators, as will come. Their books are loaded with narrations from innovators who are not propagators, as will come. And this is important for you to understand too. Some enemy of Islam is going to know this and he's going to come at you and say something to you. Or an enemy of the Sunnah, hadith denier. So you're going to know how to talk about this. You're going to say, yeah, it is true that some hadiths are narrated by heretics. However, those heretics passed the test. That's a summarized expression there. That's why we accepted their narrations. And then you can elaborate for those people. The second saying is that if he is not someone who legitimates lying to support his madhab, the second saying is that if he is not someone who legitimates lying to support his madhab, he is accepted whether or not he calls to his innovation. He is accepted whether or not he calls to his innovation. If he's among the people who legitimate that, his narrations are not accepted. There's something not clear for me there. Al-Khatib attributed this saying to Ash-Shafi'i because Ash-Shafi'i said, I accept the testimony of the people of deviant beliefs except the Khattabiyah from the Rafidah. Yani the Khattabiyah of the Rafidah. Because they legitimate perjury for their colleagues. Okay. If he is among the people who legitimate that, that means lying. Now it's clear. If he is among the people who legitimate lying, if he's one of the deviants who legitimate lying, then his narration is not accepted. Al-Khatib attributed this to Ash-Shafi'i. How he attributed that to Ash-Shafi'i? By a deduction. Not by explicit document from Ash-Shafi'i. Rather, because Ash-Shafi'i said something that made him, that took Al-Khatib to the conclusion that this is Ash-Shafi'i's position. Ash-Shafi'i said, I accept the testimony of the people of deviant beliefs except the Khattabiyah, because they legitimate perjury for their colleagues. Perjury means lying under oath. This was also narrated about Ibn Abi Layla and Al-Thawri. Ibn Abi Layla, don't recall who he is. If he's a mujtahid or what. And Al-Thawri, who is definitely a mujtahid. And Judge Abu Yusuf, who is also a mujtahid. So that's the second saying. Says the third saying. So I want to change this from the to a. A third saying is that if he were a caller to his innovation, he is not accepted. And if he is not a caller, yani a da'i. Caller here means da'i. If this deviant person is on top of being a deviant, a da'i to his deviance, then he is not accepted. And if he is not a da'i, then he is accepted or acceptable. This was the position of Ahmed, as Al-Khatib said. Yani, according to Al-Khatib. So, according to Al-Khatib, he gave you the position of Malik and Ash-Shafi'i and Ahmed about accepting the narration of a deviant. He's saying according to him, Malik does not accept a mubtadi', an innovator, when it comes to narrating. And according to him, Ash-Shafi'i does, as long as he doesn't legitimate lying. And even if he's a da'i, that's the second saying here. Second saying is, as long as he doesn't legitimate lying, but even if he is a da'i. And the third saying is, he's not a da'i. Yani, he doesn't legitimate lying and he's not a da'i. So a third saying is that if he were a caller to his innovation, he is not accepted. And if he is not a caller, then he is accepted. This was the position of Ahmed, as Al-Khatib said. Ibn al-Salah said that this is the position of many or most. And it is the most moderate and the most deserving. Yani, this is the saying to take, and this is what we learn. And this is what Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani says also. We saw it in An-Nukhbah. Abdul Rahman ibn Abi Layla is a mujtahid, barakallahu feek. Ibn Hibban said, it is not permissible to use the word of the caller to the innovation as evidence according to our imams altogether. And I do not know any difference in opinion among them about it. And this is what some of the companions of Ash-Shafi'i said, that there is no difference in opinion among his companions, that the propagator, the da'i, is not accepted, and that the difference in opinion among them was in reference to the one who did not call to his innovation. Let me read that again. It says here, Ibn Hibban said, it is not permissible to use the word of a da'i, one yani, a propagator, to one who's a da'i for his bid'ah, as evidence according to our imams altogether. And I do not know any difference in opinion among them about it. And this is what some of the companions of Ash-Shafi'i said, that there is no difference in opinion among his companions, that the propagator is not accepted. And that the difference in opinion among them is in reference to the one who did not call to his innovation. Okay, so this first part here, Bismillah. Just going to highlight this so I can double check the quote of Ibn Hibban. So, but even without this quote of Ibn Hibban, you got the case. So the case is what? Do we accept the narration of a mubtadi'? Yani, do the scholars of hadith accept that? The answer is, yani, out of different sayings, the answer that we're going to say is yes, under conditions, not absolutely. He has to not be a kafir. He has to be accurate. He has to be outwardly God fearing. Apparently God fearing. And what's in his heart will leave it between him and his Lord. Yeah, some people have pulled us to the side and said, Fulan is a mubtadi'. But he narrates his hadiths accurately, and he's not known to be a liar, nor is he known to be an outward major sinner. He's not like so many Mu'tazila, for example, who just would drink alcohol and not pray and things like that. He's not like this. And he's not narrating something that supports the innovation he's accused of. So all of that, and some of them said, and also he's not a da'i of this bid'ah that he's accused of. So they're saying difference in opinion here. Some said even if he is a da'i, he can still be acceptable. Some said if he's da'i, he's not acceptable. And that's what we learned, that this is what we would take, this is what we will explain to the people. If we want to explain to the people without going into details, and we're going to say this saying. He cannot be narrating something that supports the bid'ah he's accused of, and he cannot be a da'i to that bid'ah also. If you have any question, feel free, please. What is the first of Malik? Yes. So here, Al-Iraqi said that this here, what I'm going to read to you right now, is the position of Malik. That the innovator is absolutely rejected because he's a major sinner for his innovation. And even if a person who was misguided by misunderstanding, yani, even though it's a misunderstanding or a confusion that has rendered him misguided and a mubtadi', innovator, heretic, but he's a major sinner nevertheless, or nonetheless. A major sinner is a major sinner. So then his narration is rejected like any other major sinner. And to make a difference between him being a major sinner because he has a misunderstanding and being a major sinner without a misunderstanding, this position is saying that's like making a difference between a kafir who's a kafir because of misunderstanding or a kafir who's a kafir without a misunderstanding. He's still a kafir. So according to this, saying still a major sinner, and we don't accept a major sinner. And so now you might ask, so Al-Khatib said that's Malik's position. And now you might ask, okay, now we just saw. Some scholars, they said, we will accept such a major sinner. And then they differed. Some said, even if he's a propagator, some said he can't be a propagator. But pause here, before we even talk about whether he's a propagator or not. He's a major sinner. They're saying we accept him. Does those, like, if this is really Malik's position, don't they have a point that we don't take from the major sinner? They have a point. So why are we talking about taking from a major sinner here? Because, like I told you, this is why I told you. Because in this case of his bid'ah, it's inward, it's a hidden, it's not outward. These innovators that the scholars accept from, they are apparently God-fearing. They are apparently God-fearing. They're not just scoundrels coming into the hadith sessions. Yeah, I mean, outward misbehaving major sinners. That's what I mean. They're not just hoodlums and ruffians coming into the session. Uh, these are people who would pray, for example, even in their privacy. They will pray, and there's no one to see them pray. And these are people who would fear God and get married. And like this, and they don't lie, for example. You might have met a mubtadi' like this. Could have. Sometimes, for example, you meet a Wahhabi. You say, Subhanallah, he's so strong in his convictions. This Wahhabi will never wear clothes that don't look like Muslim to him. And he will pray. And he will fast. And everything. But he's a misguided person. Very firm on what he is upon. Outwardly, if you didn't know his Aqidah, you'd think he was a good Muslim. Although, brothers and sisters, those deviated creeds, even if it's not blasphemy and it reaches the major sin status only, these deviated creeds, like other sins, could have poison in them. It means it's going to leave bad trace on you. It's going to do something to you. It's going to do something to you. Has side effects. That's what I'm looking for. These deviated creeds, just like other sins, they have side effects. You know how medicine has side effects? It's not the intended result from this thing. You want this thing for something, but does something else to you. The sins are like that. You got to be careful. I remind myself, those sins are like that. If you do a sin, then you better look out for that. Where is the side effect? You might not know the side effect of that sin. And good deeds too. Like, imagine a person, he's so good to his family. And he gets them nice home. And he gets them all the clothes they need. And he gets them all the food they need. And they are good. His family's good. He's the one who put his family in that position. He corrects his intention all the time. Okay, so he did his deed. But has side effect. That's why he's going to be so tayyib. It's nice, shiny face. It's a lot of Wahhabi brothers in England, they confuse you, as I was saying. Yeah. But I wouldn't say brother, though, for a Wahhabi. But yeah. If he's a kafir, then he's not a... I mean, sorry. If he's not a kafir, then he would be a Muslim. But that's just me, though. You know, I got a really thing against Wahhabis. So, that's this case here. MashaAllah. Also, so if you have some more questions, go ahead. I'm going to move on now. So, next footnote. This footnote is attached to a statement here that Yunus ibn Abdul A'la said, I said to Muhammad ibn Idris al-Shafi'i, our companion Al-Layth ibn Sa'd said, had I seen a deviant person of whims walking on water, I would not accept from him. Al-Shafi'i said, he fell short. Had I seen one walking in the air, I would not accept from him. Now, Shafi'i is saying, walking on the water, well, if he's walking on the water means he has a surface to step on. Is this not even good enough? If I saw him walking in the air, I won't accept from him. So here's a footnote. Perhaps Ash-Shafi'i said this after he had retracted what he said. Perhaps Ash-Shafi'i said this after he retracted what he said. What did he say? I accept the testimony of the people of whims, etc. It's just part of the quote, not the whole quote. The Sheikh said, Ash-Shafi'i retracted that statement. Or he meant, if one reached the level of blasphemy, I will not accept from him. Okay, so Ash-Shafi'i's statement, this one, the Shafi'is have a lot of talk about it. When Ash-Shafi'i said, I accept the testimony of the deviants, the people, Ahlul Ahwa, the deviant people. I accept their testimony. Accept the Khattabiyah, because it's their conviction. It is their creed. Perjury is lawful. So there's no way to trust them. So this is a statement of Ash-Shafi'i, and so the Shafi'i scholars, they talked about this statement. What does it imply? And our Sheikh said this. Ash-Shafi'i retracted this statement. And keep in mind too, though, there's a difference between testimony and hadith narration. So don't conflate those. So there's things that testimony and hadith narration have in common, and there's places where they are different. Testimony versus hadith narration. And for example, a woman can be a hadith narrator. Also, a slave can be a hadith narrator, while their testimony to the judge is not like that. Okay. Now, the next footnote is attached to this sentence. This means that by having deviant beliefs, he would not be among the people of karamas, which are the supernatural sainthood privileges. And he would not be trusted. Yani, just because a person is doing something supernatural does not mean he's trustworthy, because he could be aided by devils. Footnote. Al-Iraqi said, when I said in the Metin that Ibn Hibban conveyed the agreement about this means about rejecting the narration of the propagator, and it is also about accepting the one who is not a propagator. They agreed about rejecting the narration of the propagator and accepting the one who's not a propagator. Ibn Salah only mentioned the agreement about it in the first scenario. As for the second scenario, he said in Tarikh al-Thiqat, under the biography of Ja'far ibn Sulaiman, Wad'i, there is no difference between the people of hadiths from our imams, that if the truthful person of mastery has an innovation and did not call to it, using his narrations as evidence is permissible. If he calls to his innovation, then using his narrations as evidence is dropped. And in this case, there is a fourth saying that Ibn Salah did not talk about. Al-Iraqi is the speaker here. That their narrations are absolutely accepted. Yani, there's another saying. It was said, the Muqtadir is acceptable without detail, even if they were blasphemers or major sinners with misunderstandings. So this saying goes nothing. Look how somebody can have a saying that's nothing. That's interesting. Or weak at best, Yani. At the extent of weakness, could it be that some scholars would say something and what they are saying is So weak. Yeah, it could be. So you're not going to think something is strong only merely because a number of scholars said it. When you are a person who thinks something is strong merely because a number of scholars said it, then you are such an amateur. Why you are such an amateur? Because you have very little understanding of the religion. Because if you knew just a little bit better, then you would know that it's not going to be what the scholars said, it's going to be what the evidence says. First of all, what the evidence says. Now, what did those scholars say? Now, if on top of that you're an arrogant one, you're going to say, well, but this is what the scholars said. What the evidence says, who's going to tell you about the evidence? It's the scholars. So it means you're never going to get off of the scholars. It's always going to be about the scholars for you. You know why? Because you want to say something. You want to be on a position. You want to say, look how many scholars said that Muawiyah got reward for what he did, for the ijtihad he did. Fulan and Fulan, 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 all these scholars. You think they don't know the proofs, brother? They know the proofs, brother. If you said to them, this against the proofs, and they say, they know the proofs. These are big scholars, brother. And you'll be saying that while you don't know the proofs. They know the proofs, brother. You don't know the proofs, though. So it's just good enough for you that so many of them said something. Investigate the evidence. While I'm here, I recently became aware of a type of person, a tactic used by some people. Because two people used the same tactic on me in a very short span of time, then I realized it's a tactic, which is for a person to ask questions under the guise of not having a position, under the guise of not having a position. So when he asks questions under the guise of not having a position, means he just wants you to tell him, inform me so I can understand. I want to know your saying. I want to know your side. I want to know their side. I don't have a position. I just want to understand. When he does like that, then this enables him to not commit to the saying of those who are saying what's wrong, and also enables him to argue with you when you're saying this is what's right. He can argue with you saying, I'm just trying to find out something. And then he can just, as if he's agreeing with them, but then he's going to say, I don't agree with them. I'm just neutral here. So I know how to take care of those people now. Okay. Why? How I wound up there? Because we're saying, some scholars said a saying that any mubtadir is acceptable in his narration. Anyone, even if it's a kafir, without a misunderstanding, even if it's a kafir, without a misunderstanding. So Al-Khatib mentioned this saying from a group of people of transmission and theologians. What? What a mutakallim say such a thing? Ibn al-Mulaqqin said, this saying is strange and far-fetched. Yes, strange and far-fetched. But yani, somebody's going to say to Ibn al-Mulaqqin, but Fulan said, Fulan said, Fulan said. They know the proofs, brother. A kafir without a misunderstanding. Without a kafir without a misunderstanding. That's what he said, right? Did I misread there? Even if if they were blasphemers or major sinners with misunderstanding. Okay. With misunderstanding. Thank you. With misunderstandings. Okay. Yeah, that's important. Barakallahu feek. Even though it's still not a right saying though. But we don't want to misrepresent their position. No, no problem. So that's it. Yani, I said what I was saying there about that case. The digression there to benefit you. I know how to deal with those people now. And then I wasn't going to say more there. Just wasn't really aware of the tactic that was being used. Yeah. The one person who was doing that, so I said to him at one point in our conversation, he said to me, Do you know the proofs that those scholars use? I said, they don't have any proof. He said, did you read all of their books? I didn't read all of their books. He said, so how are you going to say they don't have, they don't have any proof? You didn't even read all their books. I said, well, look, all the quotes that you gave me, these quotes you gave me, did you notice they didn't have any proof in there? So then this is his opportunity to say, yeah, but I'm just trying to figure out some things here. I'm not really on their side. So when I said to him, okay, you seem like you are skeptical. How we should deal with them? Yeah, that's what I'm going to tell you right now. I told him, you seem like you are skeptical that that I could say they don't have any proof. And there's so many of them. And you say they are scholars. They should know proofs. I said to him, so I'll tell you what. I want to prepare for you something about the proofs. But it requires for you, number one, to answer me when I ask you. Don't tell me I don't have a position. You're going to answer me yes or no when I ask you. And number two also requires of you to submit to an authentic hadith. Do you know even what an authentic hadith is? Assuming you know of what an authentic hadith is and what's a Muslim's duty when it comes to an authentic hadith, and you're not going to tell me, okay, it's authentic hadith, but I don't know Arabic. Because this is how he's trying to, in his claim, to stay neutral. Okay, it's authentic hadith. I don't know Arabic though. I don't know. Maybe what you're saying is right. Maybe what you're saying is wrong. Okay, so you're gonna when if I prove to you it's authentic hadith, you're gonna accept that it's authentic hadith. I'm gonna prove to you what's in the words of this hadith. Also, if you don't think I can, yani, if there's something you're not sure about, then just take note of what I'm saying, and then you can go ask someone else. He did not want to, yani, he didn't respond to this part here. He stopped the conversation now. So the way to deal with those people is to, I'll say it this way: if it looks like, even though they're saying they're neutral, but looks like they're arguing with you, if they're saying they're neutral, but looks like they're arguing with you, then make them commit action. That's my advice. Say to them, well, I have proof. They're going to say they have proof. You have proof, they have proofs. I will say to him, okay, do you know my proof? And say, look, brother, I'm not, I know you got whatever you say, your proof. I'm not here trying to take a position one way to say you're right or you're wrong or he's right or he's wrong. So that talk right there, that's going to go out the window with me. It's not going to work with me anymore ever again, inshallah. I'm going to say to him, you're a Muslim. So do you believe in the hadiths of the Prophet? Yes. Say, yeah, I don't know Arabic though. Say, okay, that's fine. You know, you do believe in the hadiths. Yes. Okay. You know what an authentic hadith is? Yeah. So don't you know that if a hadith is authentic, you have to accept it? Yeah. Okay. Here's a hadith. وَيْحَ عَمَّا تَقْتُلُهُ الْفِئَةُ الْبَاغِيَةُ. And then just break it down for him. So you can't get out of this hadith. You know, what did Muawiyah say when the other one came to him and said, Ammar was killed? So anyway, back to what we were talking about here. So Al-Iraqi said, in the two books of Sahih are many hadiths of innovators who were not propagators. Some of them are used as evidence, and some of them are used as cross-references. Some of them are used as evidence, and some of them are used as cross-references, supporting narrations called shahid. Shahid. You would say, this is narrated by Fulan, and this hadith has a shahid. And he has another version that you can compare it to for cross-referencing. Like Imran ibn Hittan, Dawood ibn Hussein, and others. In Tarikh Naysabur by Al-Hakim, under the biography of Muhammad ibn Yaqub ibn al-Akhram, the book of Muslim is filled with Shiites. Let me read that again. In Tarikh Naysabur by Al-Hakim, under the biography of Muhammad ibn Yaqub ibn al-Akhram, according to this person, he has a statement. It looks like a broad statement. It's not necessarily disparaging statement, not necessarily. We'll have to see it though. But he said the book of Muslim is filled with Shiites. There's a point here. Point is that the top imams narrated from innovators. So it's not a strong position to say we don't take from any innovator. Hadith scholars, that is. Al-Iraqi said, when I said the difference is about the innovator who is not charged with blasphemy, this excludes the innovator who is charged with blasphemy for his innovation. Like the Mujassima, Al-Iraqi said, like the Mujassima, they are blasphemers. That's in Al-Iraqi's millennial poem for hadith terminology. So what he means, he's saying, yani, our topic here is about accepting the narration of an innovator. And those who said that the narration of an innovator is unacceptable altogether, how would they explain that scholars like Al-Bukhari and Muslim have narrated from people who were affiliated, yani accused of, rather, who were accused of bid'ah? An example of someone, yani an example that testifies to the fact that these imams were narrating from Muqtadi'ah sometimes is this statement here that some person said the book of Muslim is filled with Shiites. I mean, he's saying Muslim narrated from innovators. Was that clear? That answered your question for you or clarified the thing for you? You said, is it true? What I mean that a lot of okay, I don't know how strong that statement is to say full of, makes, it gives the impression that there's a lot of them. So I don't know what's the ratio there. Yes, at least they narrated from those who were accused of innovation. Yes. So we're not going to take position that an innovator's narration is 100% rejected all the time. Some Wahhabis are like that. The Wahhabi sheikhs, they say to their minions, don't take a single letter from an innovator, not a single letter. They will say, we don't take a harf from a muqtadi'. That's what a Wahhabi will say. And by muqtadi' though, he means Ash'ari. If they knew somebody was an Ash'ari, they'll say, don't take a harf, don't take a single letter from him. Even if this one is memorizer of Quran, like has Arabic, even like, they won't take from him. Even if they are sloppy, even if they are liars, sloppy, everything, they're not going to take from that one. But Brother Ishaq, I will say to you, you mentioned about the Wahhabis in England confusing you, like, because of what I was saying, because of, their display of religiosity. A lot of those Wahhabis, though, they have false sense of confidence. Why is false sense of confidence? Because you see him from the outside, he looks like he's so firm, he's so strong, unwavering mountain. As long beard, he has prostration mark, he has pants over his ankles. Khalas, yani. But you tell him one hadith, كان الله ولم يكن شيء غيره. His heart is broken from the inside, shattered. He's not going to flinch though, from the outside. When the inside, he's broken, destroyed. Allah existed and there wasn't anything else. On the outside, he didn't flinch though. It's like he's playing cards with you. He said they follow the hadith, but they have wrong belief in Allah. Yeah. They have wrong belief in Allah. They have wrong belief in many things. They have misunderstanding about many things. They are like some people. There's, let's say, a library. This library has its books arranged properly in their proper places, on the shelves where they should be properly. They are like some people that they came to a library, but all the books were out of place. Somebody came into the library, took all the books off their shelves, put them on different shelves. They're out of order now. And then they came and they found this library, very nice one, very organized. This means that their comprehension is distorted. They're looking through broken glasses. So hey, let's stop here. Any other question?
Started, say.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
It's not a question, but a statement that a lot of what happens I ran into, it's
Yeah.
like they get a word and they stick with their word. You say Allah doesn't need something to creation. He says the similar to the creation. And they stick with one word that doesn't fulfill Allah and forget about the ones who does fulfill Allah. They stuck on that one word.
Yes. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's the problem they have. The the problematic issue that should be not talked about, they want to talk about it. That's why Allah says about people like them. فأما الذين في قلوبهم زيغ فيتبعون ما تشابه منه. As for those who have deviance in their hearts, they pursue what is ambiguous. They track what is ambiguous. They're looking for what's ambiguous. They take all the ambiguous verses and they put them all together. They're looking for them. Ibtigha al-fitna, to cause fitna, which is to argue with you about the right belief. If you say to him, why don't you just say Allah has wajah and yad and ayn and istiwa and call it a day? You won't be wrong and you'll be safe. He'll say, no, I'm going to say he has face and hands and eyes and he ascends. Question, do some Wahhabis choose to misunderstand on purpose as well? Well, I don't know if I can say yes to that because it's like saying they're aware of themselves. If I say yes, then it would be like saying they have self-awareness here and they know that they are going towards misunderstanding and they stay going that way. And it's not the case that they have self-awareness here. They lack self-awareness here. And they indulge in what confuses them while they think it's clear. That's why one of them is going to say, Allah will uncover his shin on Judgment Day. You say to him, shin, what does that mean? He'll say, I don't know what it means. Say to him, why you say shin if you don't know what it means? He's going to say, it's in the Quran. Say to him, how are you going to say it's in the Quran? You don't even know what it means. Say, yeah, it's in the Quran. I saw it. I read it. He'll open translation. Look, right here. Tell him, listen, the Quran is in Arabic only. He's going to say, yeah, this is what it means, though. Say to him, you say you don't know what it means. Yeah, we don't know. Yeah, and he say, no, shin is known. But the reality of it, we don't. So see how he's going in circles here. He's going to stay here confused like that. It says, off topic question. Someone asked me, why are there different schools? Why aren't the rules by consensus? How would you answer them? I would say, this is how Allah revealed the religion to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The religion was revealed to accommodate various schools of law deliberately. This outcome of having various schools of law, it is a deliberate target of the religion. That's what I would say to the person. This actually makes the laws of Muhammad easy. That makes the rules easier. These are the laws. This is how Allah revealed the laws to Muhammad. Allah revealed the laws to Muhammad in such a way that these scholars will come to different opinions that are valid, though, permissible to take. It was revealed like that to get that result. So that's something we want. So that's what I would say. You can follow up if you want to. Yeah, Allah made it easy for us, like by this. Ameen Wafiq. Not to mention that different schools in any field is normal. Any field. Like even in law, kafir law, secular law, there will be judges of one madhab. Madhab means one party. One group of judges who sees a case in a certain way, and another group of judges who see the case in another way. That's very normal. And in any field, you're going to have this. I do all this editing and stuff here. So sometimes I have a question. How should I cite this? How should I put this? How should I do the comma here? How should I do the quotation mark here? So then I'll look into the reference books. They're going to say in there, some said like this. Some said like that. Very normal. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك لا إله إلا الله اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم رب اغفر لنا وللمؤمنين والمؤمنات. Barakallahu feekum. Glad to see you all. Inshallah, I'll see you next week for this lesson. We still have tafsir tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're continuing in the tafsir of Surah Al-Ma'idah. We're almost done. That's surah.
Somebody can share. I can go ahead and cross it out.
Wa alaikum salam. Yes.
There's a couple of new Muslims talking to. Should I bring them to this class?
If they're too new, this might not be the class for them. If they are like new Muslims, if they are new learners, maybe. If they're not new Muslims but new learners, maybe. If they have enough background information, they can follow in these lessons, I think. But if they're too new, then maybe it's too heavy for them. They need background information.
People will teach them what the basics. Then when they get a little better, then start introducing to this class.
Yeah, unless if you want to give it a shot and see if it works for them. But take today's lesson as an example. We're talking about innovators in the creed who did not reach the level of blasphemy, transmitting hadiths. So some person who's, for example, just needs to learn 13 attributes, is way over his head. Ameen wa fiq. Wa subhanallahi wa bihamdih.